The Podbreed Network is strictly for the small podcasts that are up and coming in the vast world of podcasting. Podbreed is made up of many diverse podcasts coming together to achieve the same goal of being the best damn podcast network on the planet. Find out more at podbreed.com.
This is Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. You listen to the XY show, and I think you'll really enjoy it. If you don't, oh well.
The opinions expressed on the X and Y show are the sole opinions of the host. Please note, there is no intentional desire to offend any member of the listening audience. With that said, if you still feel offended, tough shit.
It's time for the X and Y show. With your host, Mr. Roosevelt. He talks about man topics, lady topics, and relationships. He talks about love, sex, and infidelities. He even gives good tips. There is no other show that compares to the X and Y show.
Oh yeah. Sit back, take your clothes off, and relax. It's time for the X and Y show, where real relationship issues are talked about and addressed. The only place on the planet that tackles the topics that everyone wants to talk about, but no one is brave enough to address. Nothing escapes X and Y, baby. Now, here's your host, Roosevelt Colbert.
And greetings. Welcome to another segment of the X and Y show. I'm your host, Roosevelt. Glad to be here for another week. We are moving right along through this year. Will be Christmas before you know it. You know that's my favorite time of the year. Hopefully this year won't be fucked up like last one because of the COVID and shit. So, you motherfuckers keep getting vaccinated so we can all be safe. Because I'm not getting that shit. Fuck that. A lot going on. Some things that's happening. If you watch the talk, Sharon Osbourne is getting her ass booted off. For the racial insensitive attitudes that she's been having. I don't watch the talk, the View, whatever the fuck it is. I think it's the talk. So, but I've heard some things she said over the years. She's always been suspect to me. But, so she's finally getting her ass booted off. CNN did a special report tonight on racism and how people of color are being treated in this country. And it just amazes me. I've done a couple of shows. I don't deal with that stuff a lot because I want you to forget about that stuff when you listen to my show. But some stuff I just can't let go. But I've done it a couple of times talking about race and so forth. And, I'll say it and I'll say it again. It's not going anywhere. The only time this addressed when something happens, like the massacre in Atlanta, George Floyd, those type of events, then we talk about it. Some shit that been happening for decades, centuries. And when something happens, we talk about it, and then a couple of weeks it's gone. But it's still here, It's still here and it'll always be here. Nothing's going to change. What can you say? I'm not, let me get off of that. What else is going on? This guy, Derek Jackson, I think that's his name, the dating coach that everyone loves. He cheated on his wife, and he admitted it, and now that's in the news. You know, and you know, women love this motherfucker, and you know, all he's done is give dating advice and so forth, and marriage advice, and women love him. Now, a lot of you are saying, well, Roosevelt, that's what you do. Not really. See, guys like him and Steve Harvey, and I love Steve Harvey, don't get me wrong, but Steve Harvey is an expert at playing off women's emotions and feelings. And this guy was a Steve Harvey mini-me. He just say what women want to hear. That's what both of them do. They say what women want to hear. A lot of bullshit, really. And women love them. And they shoot up to the top and they make a lot of money. And I'm not mad at them for that. Whatever. Do your thing. You know, if I took that route for the X and Y show and just said a bunch of shit that women love to hear, oh yes, he is so right, I love this guy, my podcast would be the number one podcast in the nation as far as relationships and dating go. It would be number one if I did that. But I'm not doing that because that's not real and it's not me. I'm not going to say some shit to women for women's ego and shit so they can feel better. And, you know, that's fake to me. And what you see in this motherfucker, Derek Jackson, you know, he's saying all this bullshit, you know, talking about other men, how they cheat on their wives, and his punk ass doing the same shit, you know. And I'm not saying that he's perfect. He's a perfect guy. He's a man. He's flawed like all of us. But I'm saying that, you know, him and Steve Harvey, tight motherfuckers, they talk all this shit, and you women soak that shit up. And then when they fuck up, you know, then what? Oh, he ain't shit. But sometimes it happens where, you know, you actually blame the partner for their fuck ups. And what I mean is a lot of women are giving his wife a lot of flack. And I'm like, why do you giving her a lot of flack? He the one fucking cheating on his wife, you know? So, you know, and a lot of women are doing that. And that's something I don't get. But I don't know. I would think that people want to hear the truth and how things are real. And that's what the X and Y show is. You're going to hear the real shit from me. I'm not going to sugarcoat shit. I'm going to say things that women don't like. I'm going to say things that men don't like. I've done that many times. Had my man card on Jeopardy many times on this show. You know, but I'm keeping it real. I keep it real. I don't say shit for people to enjoy. Oh, they'll like this. Let me just say that. You know, I could go that route. And like I said, my podcast would be the number one in the nation. Hands down. I'm convinced. But I'm not going to say that. That shit is fake. As you see with this guy, this pump motherfucker, Derek Jackson, you see he's a fake motherfucker saying all this shit. And he's cheating on his wife. What a hypocritical son of a bitch. And I know a lot of you saying, why are you saying all those things about that guy? You don't even know him. I don't want to know that motherfucker. You know, that's the problem in society that we're having today. You know, all these motherfuckers going around and they don't respect the institution of marriage. And if you don't respect the institution of marriage, then you have fucked up families. If you don't do that, you have fucked up families, then you have fucked up individuals coming up in society. Individuals that we all have to deal with every day, as you see in the news. So it starts at home. So that's why I don't like this motherfucker. I don't want to know him. You know, he's a hypocrite and he talks all this shit, and he's doing the shit that he's getting on other men about. And I'm going to tag him on this episode too. I hope his punk ass hear it. And if he wants to talk to me about it, he can come on my show and we can discuss it. So, shit, I'm not worried about nobody. But, I would think you want to keep it real. That's what X and Y show is. I keep it real. I say shit that you don't want to hear, but you need to hear. So anyway, I want to deal with a very dear subject of mine, something that I should have talked about a long time ago. Today's episode: what is the state of your mental health? What is the state of your mental health? And, I say that because I think that a lot of people are going through a lot of things nowadays that we need help, mental help, in getting through it. And that's big for me to say because for those of you who have listened to my show, I don't really have a lot of faith or belief in psychiatrists and psychologists, telling motherfuckers your business and they're supposed to know the answer and shit. I just never put too much stock into that because, I'm thinking like, you have to pay by the session and, they help you supposedly and, they know what the problem is, but they want to keep you coming back so they can get more sessions out of you. I'm just thinking off of other shit. That's why I never put too much faith in therapists, mental therapists. But that's something I'm changing as I get older. I think that, especially in the Black community, mental health is something that is not dealt with properly. A lot of things that we go through that we really should be talking to someone about it, but we don't. We just deal with that shit, and then it gets worse and it gets worse and it gets worse and it gets worse and it gets worse. And a lot of health issues start or stem from that. High blood pressure, heart attack, strokes. Stress is a killer. And if that shit goes unaddressed for years, and that boy, just like a volcano, eventually it's going to erupt. Mental breakdown, suicidal thoughts, depression, all of that, which is not good for your mind, not good for your physical being. So I think that, as I get older and more wiser, therapy is needed. Even if, some of those motherfuckers are trying to just get more sessions out of you, you need someone to talk to get better. Mental health, something that I've learned, it does not get better by itself. Some things that I've seen over the years with other people, it's not something that goes away. Sometimes it gets worse. Sometimes it just stays dormant, but it's still there. It's still something that you should deal with. It's not affecting you majorly yet, but it's still there. And a lot of times we live with shit for years before addressing it. Some of us never address it. A problem that we had in our earlier years, and it gets worse, and something that affects us our whole entire lives because we don't want to get help. We don't want to see therapists. We don't want to get better mentally. And I think if you get better mentally, then that helps in remaining healthy physically. The body works together. And if your mind isn't right, then you're not going to be right physically. I remember one time when I was out of work and I had left Alaska and came home to be close to family because my dad had passed and I wanted to be closer to family. So that's how I ended up back in Miami. I had never intended going back to Miami. Very terrible city. Fuck Miami. For many different reasons. Too much to call out now. But anyway, never intended on going back to the city, but I went back just to be closer to family, just to be supportive. You know, my dad had passed, so I wanted to be closer to them. I wanted to be closer to my mom, especially. So I went back home, you know. And I said, it won't take long to find a job, get on my feet, and go from there. I pretty much, after I left the military and left college, I was always employed. You know, I had a degree in accounting. I had a degree in business, and then I later got my MBA. So I always had work to do. Never was out of work for a long period of time, you know, until I came back to Miami. It was very, and I knew Miami was fucked up when I left. And Miami is still fucked up, but I didn't know it was that fucked up. Here I was with 3 degrees, and I couldn't find work. Could not find work anywhere, doing anything. Couldn't be a custodian. You know, after a while I got desperate, and I would have done anything just to get work. But, you know, like I said, Miami is a fucked up city, and I couldn't find work. So I had to end up moving back home with, my parents' house. You know, I'm grown. You know, I'm a grown man. Thank goodness I didn't have a family, kids and a wife. She probably would have left me. So I was home for over a year, and it was it took me almost 2 years. It took me about a year and a half, year and 6 months to find work. You know, after the unemployment ran out and stuff, so I was running out of money. I was going through my savings and all kind of shit. I could not find a job until about a year and 7 months or some crazy shit. So during that time, I'm being depressed. And at that time, I never had a problem with my blood pressure. It shot up. So I was very depressed. I was angry. I couldn't find a job. Here I am with 3 degrees. I'm a veteran, which that don't mean shit. A lot of companies don't give a fuck about if you're a veteran. A lot of people don't give a fuck about veterans until it's election time. Oh, we're going to take care of our veterans. We're not going to leave our veterans behind. And as soon as they're in office, fuck you. So being a veteran don't mean shit. Nobody respects that. So here I am, a veteran, 3 degrees, and I could not find work. So I was depressed. I was angry. And I was not in a good place in my life. I don't think that I would have killed myself. I don't think I was that far. But it was a bad time. I felt like a failure. It was embarrassing. Here I am, a grown man, staying home with my parents, can't find work. And, I was thinking about other people, how it looks to them from the outside. Look at that bum staying home with his mom's house. And my friends, he's not doing shit. People always seem to enjoy when you in a fucked up place, which one thing I can say about that time, it showed me how many friends I had. And I didn't have nearly as many as I thought. So that was a benefit out of it. I found out who my true friends were. But I was in a bad place. All kind of shit was going through my head. I was thinking about doing illegal shit, not robbing or anything, but a lot of friends were coming at me, selling drugs. They were saying, Roosevelt, man, you don't do drugs. You'll be a perfect guy to sell drugs. You don't do drugs. You could make a lot of money because you're not doing them. So, the sky's the limit with you. I had those type guys, associates coming at me that way. They saw me that, that I was in a very bad, desperate state. So they tried to take advantage of it. And I didn't do it, but I thought about it. I thought about it. Like I said, I'm an ex-veteran, 3 degrees, couldn't find work, so I'm thinking about selling drugs just to make a living. So, like I said, I felt like a failure. I felt angry. I didn't want to be seen by anyone. I was embarrassed. I didn't want any of my friends to see me. I didn't want family to see me. My immediate family was always saying, you need to get out and go talk to family. I didn't want to see nobody. I didn't want anyone to see me in that condition. I was really fucked up. And, if I wouldn't have found a job, who knows what would have happened. Like I said, I don't think I was suicidal. I don't think I would have gone that far. But I was really in a real bad state. Who knows? I would have maybe sold drugs, just for a little while. That's the way it starts with so many people. I'll just do it for a little while. And, they end up doing it for longer than they intended. End up getting arrested, and then they go into jail for 15, 20 years. But I was thinking about doing a lot of shit. But, looking back at that, I should have talked to someone. Not my family. I don't think that they could have understood what I was going through. I don't think they could have helped. Because they couldn't relate. Everyone in my family had jobs, and they couldn't relate. They couldn't help. They couldn't help me in that way. So being a veteran, I should have gone to the Veterans Administration and got mental assistance. I could have gotten that. I'm a veteran. I could have gotten that real easy. That's one of the things that they do take care of veterans as far as getting you medical attention, as far as, mental health. So that's something I should have done. I needed that at that time because there was a lot of shit going through my head. Failure. You're never going to amount to anything. You got 3 degrees, but so what? Nobody still wants to hire you. You're a veteran. So what, motherfucker? You're still no good. Couldn't even find a job sweeping floors. It was a bad time. So I should have talked to someone, but, because of the mental health stigma that is a negative in our society, as far as being mentally compromised or needing mental help, you be labeled as you're crazy or you're cuckoo. you're weak. Those are the false things that unfortunately our society passes on people with mental issues. That's why a lot of times people with mental issues never get the help that they need, because they don't want to deal with the negative thoughts and beliefs that society would put on them. Oh yeah, he had mental issues a couple years ago, right? Oh, he had to see a psychiatrist a couple years ago. Yeah, he's about to go crazy. So, a lot of people are embarrassed. And there's different reasons why people don't get mental help. But my reasons were, it was embarrassing, and I really didn't want, I didn't think I need mental health. I'm not weak. I'm strong. I'm a man. I don't need nobody. I don't need to talk to nobody about my problems. Fuck out of here. But in reality, I did. I did need to speak to someone to help me see that, hey man, you're not a failure. There's no reason to be embarrassed about not being able to find a job. You have to keep positive, and eventually the right job will come along. Just stuff like that. You haven't found a job yet because the right job hasn't come along, which was true in my case. The time I was unemployed, I realized that I didn't want to be an accountant any longer. So that's why I went back to school and so forth later on. But I needed someone to keep me on a level head. Someone that could have prevented a lot of negativity from coming in my head and clouding me with bullshit. And I'm fortunate that, I prayed a lot, and I think that helped me get through that negative time and that dark time in my life. And it helped, by being able to pray and talking to myself and talking to my Lord. It helped. But I needed someone who that I could actually communicate with and get a reaction from and get aid in my mental stableness. So I needed someone like that, and I didn't get it. And fortunately, it turned out okay. I eventually got work, got a job, and I'm doing real good now. I'm doing really well now. And that's something that I needed to hear. Eventually, man, you're going to get a job and you'll be all right. It does get better. I just needed to hear that. I needed that life rope. I needed that assistance at that time. And I didn't get it because I was worried about what people would say or what would people's perception be about me. And normally, don't get me wrong, I don't give a fuck about society and what society says, except for mental health. Back then. Now I don't give a fuck. But back then, that was the only thing that I cared about what society thought. And I think that a lot of people fall into that. They care about what society thinks when it comes to mental health. That's something that we have to change in our society. That's a way of thinking that we have to change in this society, where people could actually feel comfortable. Just like you go to the podiatrist, just like you go to the gynecologist, just like you go to the optometrist, you have to have people that are comfortable with going to psychiatrists or psychologists. We have to be that way in this country. or world, actually. We have to be more comfortable when people are needing mental health. And I think that if we get to a level of people feeling comfortable going to get the mental health that they need and that it's available to them as well, I think this will be a much better society. Because a lot of people are walking around who needs mental health. They don't have access to it, or they have access to it, which is even worse, like I did, and they're not taking advantage of it because, oh no, I can't let society see me going to a psychiatrist. Well, no, I have to, they'll think I'm crazy. I'm trying to be get a promotion. I don't want people to I don't want to put that in my record. No. I don't need help like that. That's the attitude that we have to stop. And it bleeds into our families. There's a lot of husbands walking around, a lot of wives that are walking around fucked up in the head, and they need help, but they don't get it. And that shit builds up over the years, and it affects their marriages. That's another reason why you have so many divorces, because women and men not getting the mental help that they need for some shit that happened years ago, and it's preventing them from having a good marriage with their current husband or wife. Like I said before, mental health never goes away. It just, if it's not bad, it stays there, but it needs to be addressed. You have to get help. You have to put that fire out. You can't let it smolder over the years. Eventually, it'll be a fire. So you have to put it all the way out. You have to address it. Otherwise, you're carrying that shit around for years and years and years. And, so if you're listening to this show, that's all I want. I'm not perfect. I went through that shit as well. Now I know that mental health is important, and God forbid, but hopefully I won't go through no shit like that again. But if that happens, I will definitely go see a mental professional, psychiatrist, psychologist, whatever. And I won't give a fuck about what society thinks about me. If they think I'm crazy, oh well. But I don't give a fuck about that anymore. And I think that that's the attitude that many people in society needs to have. It's always going to be those silly motherfuckers saying shit. You can't worry about that. You have to get the help that you need. And I think that in this society, people need to feel comfortable about doing so when it comes to mental health. And that will cure a lot of things for people being mentally compromised over the years, which could get worse. Like I said before, very worse. Doing things that you never thought that person would do. Suicide, that's the ultimate worst. Of doing things that you never thought they would have done. Murder, who knows? Mental health is a gambit. And if you don't get it addressed, it's so many things, a myriad of things that could happen. A lot of different outcomes. I was lucky because I was thinking about a lot of shit when I was going through that. And it was a dark time in my life. So use me as a testimony or whatever you want to call it. If you feeling that you need mental help, go get it. Fuck what society says. Get the help that you need so that you feel better as a person, not only physically, but mentally as well. And that'll help you be a better wife. That'll help you be a better husband. That'll help you be a better mother, a better father, a better person. Allow you to feel good about yourself again. So fuck what society says. Do you. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that episode, or this episode of the X and Y Show. And be sure to join me next week as well. You know I'm a weekly show. I'm on pretty much any avenue that you choose to listen to. I'm on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, pretty much on all of them. I'm also on Podbreed Network as well, podbreed.com. Be sure to check them out. They have a lot of other good podcasts on there. I'm also on social media, Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, Facebook. You can find everything on my website, which is www.thexyshow.com. www.thexyshow.com. You can find everything there. Also have a store where you can buy a nice shirt and show everyone that you love the X and Y Show. So without further ado, I will leave you until next week, but I want you to always remember that you cannot have love without X and Y. Later.
You've been listening to The X and Y Show with your host, Roosevelt Colbert, the place where real relationship issues are talked about and addressed. Join us next time. You can now put your clothes back on, or not.